We are slaying monsters.
Don't let the ghosts and the ghouls disturb you, darling.
So I go on Amazon and I look at, like, it has the pick up where you left off. Mm-hmm. And picking up where I left off, there's a book on Bluff Creek Project, which is Bigfoot related.
Okay.
And then right next to it is Finding Nessie. And the cover of Finding Nessie is a shirtless man.
Oh, so that's romance.
Yeah, Finding Nessie, a steamy male/male romance inspired by Scottish folklore.
Sounds hot.
He's an attractive man on the cover there. I hope he finds Nessie.
I hope he finds love.
I mean, I think that's the point. I think that he's fallen in love with Nessie.
Aw.
Yeah, what happens when a Highland witch falls for the Loch Ness Monster?
That's amazing.
You have to read the book to find out.
Are we recording? Okay.
Yeah, we're recording.
Oh, okay. Oh, man.
We don't need to start that way, though.
Okay.
And I keep clicking on this Finding Nessie book, which means that Amazon's just going to keep recommending me other books. It's part of a series. Finding Nessie, Hiding Nessie, and Saving Nessie. I think it's a trilogy.
That is amazing. I think you're telling me that you kind of want it. And maybe I'll make it part of your Christmas gift this year. If you were a very good boy.
You can get it for free on Kindle Unlimited.
All right. That's great. That's good to know.
98 pages long.
So these are the tabs you have open on your computer.
The tabs, well, that's one of the tabs. I have a whole bunch of tabs open on my computer. I just live with multiple tabs open now. I've become that person.
Me too.
It always annoyed me, though. I always hated the people who had the tabs like open all the frickin' time, and now I have them open all the time because they're all research into, whatever series I'm working on at that time.
Yeah, you've graduated to the club of tabs. Tab club.
It's not a club I want to be in. Yeah.
It's a good dissection of like our personalities and like what is your tab situation at any given time.
Oh, well, my current tab situation, well, I have two windows, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 tabs total across those two windows.
That's great.
Yeah. Including, let's see, Renee DeHinden. What else? Yeah, some Renee DeHinden, Jacko.
Who's that?
The wild man that was found on train tracks in 1884.
Cool.
Yeah, Bigfoot. Some Bigfoot research going on right now. Mm-hmm.
Mine's just Spanish language learning, rock climbing tips, vegan stuff.
We're very different people.
And then also the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office.
Well,
AARO.
Yeah, AARO.
And their findings that there are no findings. So that's an interesting a topic we can discuss. Oh, by the way, we're slaying monsters. I'm EJ, and across the table we got
Matt. Yo.
And we're going to discuss, we have some Fortean Roundup.
Yes, this
is what we call this now.
Yeah, this is a Fortean Roundup. We're going to embrace it. We're going to use the word Fortean because it's true. It's what it is. Charles Fort, one of my personal kind of heroes who brought all of this weird paranormal esoteric UFOs, aliens, cryptozoology, brought all those things together in one forum, the Forteans. So yeah, this is our Fortean Roundup. This is the Fortean Roundup for March. We're going to talk about some of the news items that came across our desk during that time and give you updates on some things that we've talked about in the past, like AARO and the report that came out of that. I mean, yeah, EJ, do you want to start with the AARO report?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
If that was your plan. I don't know if that was your plan. But
that's fine. Yeah, we can start that way.
Okay.
So, yeah, this was actually pretty big news this month, at least in these Fortean circles. The Department of Defense and AARO, they released a report reviewing 80 years of reporting on UAPs, UFOs, and secret government programs like, Area 51, the alleged Men in Black, Hangar 18, all that good stuff. And they found nothing.
Yeah.
That's really the conclusion of all of it, is that they found nothing.
63-page report. Now, this is off of the U.S. Department of Defense website. They have a bit of a summary of the report, and this is something that I wanted to read because I think it's relevant to one of our recent podcasts.
Yes.
So, quote, AARO assesses that alleged hidden UAP programs either do not exist or were misidentified, authentic national security programs unrelated to extraterrestrial technology exploitation. We assess that claims of such programs are largely the result of circular reporting, in which a small group of individuals have repeated inaccurate claims they have heard from others over a period of several decades. This makes me think of Silas Newton and the origin of all of this stuff.
Yeah, this is 100% the result. Well, I guess I shouldn't say 100%. This is, in a large way, the result of Silas Newton and all of the terrible, terrible lies that Silas Newton told way back in the 1950s surrounding the flying saucer that he claimed crashed in the New Mexico desert. New Mexico, also Phoenix, Arizona, also Colorado, Durango, Colorado as well. There were three crashes, Silas Newton said, and all of this shit, and there were bodies recovered, all that. And of course, he made all of that up so he and his buddy, Dr. G, Leo Gebauer, could sell divining rods. That was the point of the whole thing, and they were selling, and they were very high-tech divining rods because he claimed that they came from the flying saucer technology themselves. And for a totally deep dive into that, please check out our Aztec UFO series. It's 5 parts. It goes really deep into the history of all of this. And a lot of what we're going to summarize here is covered in that. But basically, Silas Newton was a total con man. He made the entire goddamn story up. And then what happened was, even though he got caught, got convicted in court, in federal court, but even though all of those things happened, the stories continued. And people kept reporting the things that Silas Newton made up in the late 40s and early 50s.
And credibility was lended to it because of the fact that the government looked into his claims. And so now it's on record that they did.
Right.
And so now that in a way makes it all seem like there's something there.
Right.
But there isn't. They just needed to look into it because this was during a very conflicted time in our history where we were very close on the brink of war, and we needed to make sure that all claims were looked into. This is kind of the case now anyway.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of true no matter
what.
Where you're at.
But things were heightened, for sure.
And certainly, when you're talking about intelligence and intelligence gathering during the Cold War, there was such a fear of communism and a fear of... We didn't have as good a sense of what was going on in the world as we do now, just in general, because communication was not as easy as it is now. And so you really did have to follow up on everything. And I think to the government, most of the time, they were afraid that people were reporting flying saucers that the individual might have thought was a spacecraft, but the government was afraid what was a communist spy satellite or spy plane or something like that. And remember, all of this gets complicated by programs like the Flying Flapjack, the Flying Pancake, all the other breakfast-based planes that we were developing at the time.
Right.
And the AARO car, which was actually a flying saucer. Like it literally was the flying saucer, a silver disc with a dome in the top. All of these planes were being developed at the time during the 50s all the way up through, the 70s, 80s, even the 90s, as we started to get into the development of like the B-2 bomber and Lockheed's programs. So, all of these things together, they don't want reports of their top secret programs. And I'm talking here about the Department of Defense. Like, they don't want reports of their top secret programs getting out and possibly being leaked to the communists. They don't want communist aircrafts to be in our airspace because that's a gigantic problem on its own. And so they had to investigate every report that came across their desk, no matter how trivial or insane it might have sounded.
Absolutely. And it was kind of an insane thing, but now it's in writing, and it's
Yes.
documented, and enthusiasts of this idea tend to cite that as a bit of evidence.
And the problem then, we talked a little bit about this too, but you had Robert Spencer Carr later on in the 70s who started parroting this story of the crashed saucers and the recovered bodies and all of that stuff. And then when he got fact-checked towards the beginning of the 1980s, the late 1970s, early 1980s, he walked it back, and thanks to the help of Charles Berlitz and his book, The Roswell Report, all of the Aztec stuff that Robert Spencer Carr was talking about that was based on Silas Newton's reports got recontextualized into Roswell, and that's why we have the modern Roswell mythology that we do today.
Yeah.
Something happened in Roswell, something crashed in Roswell. We're going to talk about that in a future series, but it was not a saucer that was throwing bodies all over the place. We weren't recovering bodies. We weren't taking them to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base like that. None of that is true. All of that came from Silas Newton, Leo Gebauer, and Frank Scully, the unfortunate reporter, who I think they duped along the way and fed marijuana sandwiches or marijuana tea and coyote sandwiches.
Yeah, right. And so what's happening now is, understandably, people are upset because when somebody comes out and says there's nothing, first of all, you're going to be skeptical of that, especially when isn't AARO a government entity?
AARO, yeah. So AARO is part of the Department of Defense.
So you're having a self-audited system happening.
It's
here.
hard.
It's tough.
It's I understand the suspicion surrounding it. I do.
I do too, and at the same time, though, like you have to be. I think that you have to sort of give a little bit of leeway to it because the material that they are looking at is highly classified, and so you don't want to have just some third-party entity come traipsing in and looking through everything that you have.
Right. And if not the Department of Defense, who would it be? Really, realistically, like, this is the government. Theoretically, the Department of Defense is like the highest level you could get if you're going to do an audit of something like this.
Yeah.
If not them, who? Right?
Yeah. You are, like, you're in a bit of a catch-22 for sure.
So, yeah, the conclusion that this report found, I have the quote here. AARO has found no verifiable evidence that any UAP sightings has represented extraterrestrial activity. AARO has found no verifiable evidence that the U.S. government or private industry, that'd be Boeing, Lockheed, whoever, has ever access to extraterrestrial technology. AARO has found no indications that any information was illegally or inappropriately withheld from Congress. Now, note, notice that they say no information was illegally or inappropriately withheld from Congress. It's possible, according to that sentence, that some information was withheld appropriately.
That's a good
from
point.
Congress. Like they intentionally withheld some things for concern of national security from Congress. And that's where people get upset about it, I think, because it enters into this, like, is this a national security concern? Is it a national security concern if we find aliens? And if we find the alien crafts on Earth? Probably. Probably.
Yeah, it's weird because I would think that Congress should know.
Right.
I think they would know. Wouldn't they tell them? Like, I don't know what the clearance is.
I have no idea. You think that, and then you think about some of the people who make up Congress, and you're like, do you really want these people to know?
I know.
For real?
Oh, we're so screwed. Yeah.
And what's fascinating, too, is that there was all of this talk last summer about all of this, and it surrounded, and it was really pushed in kind of a bipartisan way, which was fascinating. Pushed by Matt Gaetz.
Yes.
Who was, accused of taking children across state lines for sexual favors.
Right. Wasn't AOC also
And
kind of
and
on the
AOC
panel?
was also
Yeah.
involved because AOC has, that's Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, has interest in sticking it to big businesses, for lack of a better term.
Okay.
But yeah, she's very anti-big business, and that's so it works across all party lines here. And you would think that this would be a really good thing and a really important report to come out and satisfy everybody. It'll be interesting to see if this is a nail in the coffin for our politicians talking about this now, or if they keep pushing.
That will be interesting. I know that I feel like the people, like the lay people out there, MUFON and everything like that.
Yeah.
I imagine that this is only going to kind of make them more interested.
MUFON hates this. Yeah. MUFON doesn't believe this for a second.
I understand. I mean, that's kind of their,
yeah.
I mean, you're not going to take no for an answer.
Right.
You're just not. That's the nature of it. It's like it's kind of like telling a private investigator to pound sand, you know?
Yeah.
To look the other way. There's nothing to see here. They're going to look. They're going to keep looking. And I appreciate that because, hey, you know what? I'm not going to fucking look. You know, I got other things to do. I appreciate
I would look. I do
You
look.
would look. You would look.
And I mean, look, there are a lot of people who have very genuinely said, I saw something I can't explain in the sky.
Sure.
And it did not behave the way I thought a craft like that should. And once you establish that for a person, it's really hard to shake that in them. If we can't trust our own perception of something, then what can we trust? It's like such a it's almost like a religious thing that you're like, no, your perceptions are wrong is like saying your religion is wrong to someone. Your entire belief structure is wrong. So I understand that. I understand that it's really hard for people who have had that experience to set that aside and have someone who they've never met before just flippantly say, we didn't find anything. You're
really
wrong.
Disappointing because you are basing like kind of your identity and your friend group and your values all in this.
Yeah.
Only to have the government saying it's bullshit, or just say there's no evidence. Let's just say there's no evidence.
There's no evidence. Yeah.
But I don't think that those people, I don't mean to put words in their mouth, but I think that there's not a lot of government trust there to begin with.
No, that kind of goes hand in hand.
Yeah. So in a way, it's kind of like, well, like they're probably thinking, well, we expected you to come out and say this.
Right.
So no great loss, really. It would have been more surprising probably for them if the government was like, yeah, by the way, there actually are some aliens we saw.
How fucking crazy would that be if this report came out and they were like, yeah, we found some aliens.
Yeah.
Like, there were bodies. Jack locked them in the freezer and then we lost the key for a while. Like, oops, our bad.
That'd be so wild.
That'd be so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoopsie. Yeah, I mean, I've seen some stuff in the sky, and I can't explain it, but I'm also dumb, kind of. Like, I don't know I don't think I'd be able to tell you the difference between like a space station going by and a very high altitude plane, or maybe I could probably do that, but like a meteor or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. They're kind of faster though than the space station.
I don't know. We saw meteors here that one summer, two summers ago, I think. 2 summers ago, we saw a meteor go across the sky, and it was wild. And it was one of those things where, like, it seemed very unlikely that it was an extraterrestrial craft. But there's that little moment where you're like, holy shit, what is that? Mm-hmm. I've never seen anything like that before. That doesn't behave the way a meteor would. Mm-hmm. We think of meteors in terms of like meteor showers, but there weren't a bunch of them. Mm-hmm. It's really kind of wild to have that experience.
It was exciting. Mm-hmm. I saw something zigzag, like change direction.
Yeah.
No explanation, very bright, and it just changed directions and zigzagged and moved in ways that I've never seen anything move before. And go. It was just gone, and it moved too fast. Yeah. It was so fast.
That's wild.
Yeah, right above the train station, and toward like twilight.
Here?
Yeah, here in town.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm. Recently, like in the last 2 years, I saw it.
No shit.
Yeah.
I think you told me about that. I think I remember you
Yeah,
telling me
never.
about that. Yeah.
It was completely bananas because you'd think something that fast would be a meteor,
Right.
and it would just burn out and that'd be it. But it maintained its brightness and zigzagged across the night sky in ways that I've never seen at a speed
so
that I've never
crazy.
seen.
Yeah.
It didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, man. I guess it could have been a drone, but it was... Do drones even go that fast? They kind of go...
It depends on where it was and how fast. But also,
Yeah, I don't know.
who would be flying a drone? The thing is, most non-commercial drones, not even non-commercial, most like like accessible drones, I'll say. Most drones that are accessible to an individual or to a corporation wouldn't have those kinds of lights. That you would be able to see them like that.
Okay.
That's wild.
I don't know, man. I don't know what I saw, but it's like... But I feel like if I were somebody a little bit more knowledgeable of the space in the world, I would be able to say what that was. But because I don't, then... And I don't think about it a whole lot. Like, I feel like somebody enthusiastic about aliens would be thinking about this all the time and wanting to figure out what it was. And I was like, oh, cool, lights. Okay. I'm going to go watch my TV now and think about things that are of this earth.
Well,
That's just me, though.
I'm not a meteorologist, so and it's been a while since I've looked into this, so I'm not exactly the best person to comment on this, but I do know that changes in weather systems at high altitudes can scatter light in such a way that makes it look like the light is moving from place to place, even though it's just a twinkling star.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah. But so much of this stuff, it's like, I wasn't there, I wouldn't have the equipment to be reporting, and it so much of it is like second or third hand.
Yeah.
The way this is, I can say that, but it also might not have been that.
Yeah, who knows?
We don't know.
Yeah.
We have no idea, and there's so many people who have these experiences that are like, I saw this weird thing at one time, never saw it again. That's the trouble with so much of this stuff.
I know,
is like,
right?
it's not... It's a one-off experience. It's not replicatable. It's not like going to a haunted house where you're like, there's a ghost. The ghost is stuck here. People communicate with it all the time. If you roll a ball to it, it rolls the ball back. Like that you can try to report on and then debunk or prove. You can't prove something that you just like, oh, there was something over there. Now it's gone.
Unless it's a flap.
Yeah, sure.
But even then, it's hard to replicate a moment in time that a lot of people share at once. It's hard.
And then the flaps, you get into this whole issue of mass hysteria, which there's such a negative connotation surrounding that phrase, mass hysteria. And I use it because it's like the psychologically correct term, but it really means like once something gets reported somewhere, people become primed to start looking for that thing in other places. Which is funny. We're going to talk about that when we talk about this Loch Ness Monster story.
All right.
Which, I mean, are we segueing into that now? It
We
kind of
sure-
feels like we're segueing into the Loch Ness Monster
happening.
story.
It's happening. We
Here
can't
go.
stop it.
Yeah, so this is a cool news story. We haven't had some Loch Ness Monster news in a minute, I think. So this is pretty cool. There's a new photo of the Loch Ness Monster that was released. Newspapers are calling it the most compelling images of the Loch Ness Monster. And as always, it doesn't really look any more compelling than any of the other photos. I've seen more compelling photos of the Loch Ness Monster. Nothing against the photographer, Chi Kelly. C-H-I-E? Chi?
I don't know.
I believe it's Chi Kelly?
I don't know.
I think.
I have no idea.
News sites always say that this is the most compelling no matter what it is. It could be like somebody who took a picture of their lens cap. Yeah, like the lens cap on the lens, and they'd be like, most compelling photo ever, because that's how you get clicks on your headlines.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's just like your opinion, man. So,
but
base it off opinion.
But Chi Kelly shot a series of photos at Loch Ness in 2018, which show something large moving through the water. You see a sequence of them, and the thing moves from one place to another and changes a little bit in the surf, that you even get to see what looks like it might be a long body or a neck or something like that. These were all taken by the Doris Inn on the northeastern banks of the loch.
What I think is interesting about this is that you kind of, its little eye is glowing. It's like catching the light.
You see an eye?
Kind of like a cat.
Which photo is an eye to you?
That one.
That one. Oh, that does look like an eye. You're right. Yeah, it really does look like an eye. It looks like, there's a creature that I've seen that looks like that has like sort of the mask. It looks a little bit like the Egyptian Sobek, the crocodile god Sobek there, sitting there like that. It's really wild. These were shot in 2018 by Ms. Kelly, and she kept them out of the public, didn't tell anybody about them in the intervening years, and finally went public with them now. She said that she was afraid of ridicule as a result of releasing them, which always, it kills me, man. It just kills me, because if I shot these, I'd be like, check this out, this is fucking cool.
Yeah.
And I hate that even if society doesn't exist this way, these sorts of people believe that society exists this way, that if you go public with this, people are gonna like make fun of you for believing that there's something there, or being like, hey, I shot this photo and I don't know what's in it. It looks like what people call the Loch Ness Monster.
Yeah, for sure. It's true. And I'm looking at the wonderful encyclopedic like source Reddit, and
Okay.
some commentator said that it was a floating crocodile head, and I want you to look at this, because this could be what we're seeing.
Oh, really?
Sorry, this is not a visual media, everybody, but I'm showing Matt.
Great podcast.
Great podcast material, but I'm showing Matt.
Oh, that really does look like that. Yeah, it looks like it's one of those that I think you would put in your yard.
You'd put it in water and it would float.
Okay, yeah.
It floats in your pond.
Man, that does look like what that is there.
I think it really looks like it.
Interesting. Yeah.
Now, it could be that the photographer took it not realizing what it was. I'm not saying that the photographer put the hoax out there. I'm just saying that what if somebody had a floating crocodile head and put it out there as a joke one day?
Oh, totally, yeah.
And it just found its way to her camera.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that could have been anything. I mean, that could have been somebody staging a photograph. That could have been, a practical joke somewhere.
Mm-hmm. And it just kind of went. It just kind of made its own little journey.
And then she happened to take the picture at exactly the right time. Sure, yeah. Yeah. To me, some of the pictures also look like they might just be twigs or branches of some kind. Just some floating debris too. Mm-hmm. It's hard to say. A lot of these pictures, they don't look like anything really.
Yeah.
But that one really does look like a crocodile head. You're right. It's important to point out that Rice Darby and his Cryptid Factor co-host Leanne Kirkbeck and Dan Schreiber got their hands on these photos and said, this video allows us to see how the monster moves, which is a game changer.
What? Rice Darby has a podcast about cryptids?
I am just learning this now, reading this article. Yeah, the Cryptid Factor is hosted by Rice Darby. Yeah, Rice Darby, that Rice Darby, like...
Oh my god, our flag means death.
Yeah, our flag means death, like, I think so.
Wow.
Actually, is that him? That is him, holy shit.
So he's saying that you can see how it moves?
So what they did is they took the photos and they put them together because she shot a sequence of photos so you can see how it moves through the water.
That's interesting. So one of the photos looks like a floating crocodile head. Well, another one you can actually see the hump.
It's hard for me to tell because sometimes those humps look like actual like parts of a creature, but sometimes they look like bubbles. And this is something I've wanted to talk about with the Loch Ness Monster since we did our first series on the surgeon's photograph. Way back in 2001, there was a paper published by a Italian geologist, Luigi Picardi, and he pointed out that Loch Ness is positioned over a fault zone, the Great Glen Fault. It runs underneath Loch Ness. He believes that the fault moving creates bubbles and creates motion in the water. And very frequently when you hear reports of the Loch Ness Monster, accompanied with them are a lot of splashing, a lot of activity in the water, and a noise, like a groaning sound. And analysis seems to support the idea that that fault line is still moving. So there was a paper published on the East Midlands Geological Survey by a man named Mike Allen, and he reported that there has been disruption to modern drainage systems in that area recently, which supports the idea that that fault still has minor and maybe even undetectable activity.
Okay.
And that could account for some of the Loch Ness Monster sightings where you see these wakes and things. And that's what I thought of when I saw these couple of pictures that look like bubbles, would be the fault causing air bubbles to rise to the surface of the loch. And I think it's important, getting back to our previous conversation, that that would be some, but not all of the reports of the Loch Ness Monster. Right? Because Nessie, to me, has always been a conglomeration of things. It's not just one thing. You know, it's like eels and trees and bubbles and seismic activity and hoaxes and marketing, and all of these things combined make up the Loch Ness Monster.
Yeah, absolutely. What I'm having a tough time with, like, seeing this footage too, is the variables of the footage. So like one looks like a head, the other one you can see, bubbles aside, you can see something coming up out of the water, like a snake or like a dragon almost.
Right.
And I'm trying to figure out what that could be. Do eels do that? Do sturgeons do that? Don't they have giant sturgeons in there too?
I believe they do. Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of like what does that. That's not a dragon.
I don't know about eels. Of course, our wonderful Flo Foxen reported on eels in Loch Ness in their delightful paper. If it's real, could it be an eel?
Right.
Otters are the other thing that tends to get reported in Loch Ness because they move like that. They move with this circular or semicircular kind of jumping motion, and they tend to follow each other. So they tend to make humps in the water as they go.
Could it be a series of otters pushing a log across the water?
It could be. Yeah, it could be. Now, I know that she said it looked like it was too big to be otters, but maybe not a bunch of otters, you know? It might have been too big to be one otter, but not five. Right. And otters do tend to gather in packs? What do you call a group of otters?
I don't know.
It's a bevy.
Oh.
It's either a bevy, a family, or a lodge.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah,
it's
cool. It's cool.
It's
been a while since we've seen a good Loch Ness Monster photo, so I'm happy to have one again.
Yeah, and you know, of all the Loch Ness Monster photos, I really do think this is the best one. I think this is the best series of them.
You think this is the best Loch Ness Monster photo?
I do. I think this is the most compelling.
You agree with all of the reporting?
I don't know if I agree. I don't think there is a monster in Loch Ness, but I think these photos are the most compelling.
Oh, okay.
I think that you can logically explain this away, but it looks the most like a monster.
You think that this is more compelling than like the surgeon's photograph? Yeah,
because of our podcast episode, you've kind of explained it all away to me. Like this hasn't been explained away.
Okay.
And so my ignorance is really fueling this opinion, but I really think this is compelling, especially because, you know, the surgeon's photograph, it didn't move.
It didn't move. Yeah, the sequence of images really gives you something, right? Because so often when you get a photo of the Loch Ness Monster, you get one. and that's it. And then it's gone. You're like, oh, okay. But to actually have something moving and have a wake associated with it that you can point to and be like, whoa, like there's obviously it's manipulating the water around it. Obviously it's traveling from one place to another, whether intentionally or not, like it's going in a direction. It's really cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of variables going on. So unless it's somebody dressed up, some scuba diver dressed up in a freaking dragon costume doing the butterfly in there,
And you would think that you would figure that out.
I know. Or otters. But that I think is really cool.
Okay, let's see. What else do we have to talk about? So we have, so let's see. Our favorite grifter, and moving on. Our favorite grifter is back in the news, Jaime Maussan. He's got more fake alien bodies that he's peddling.
Love this guy.
You might remember this guy from last year. These new mummies, they've been dubbed Sebastian and Santiago. And these were released by Jaime Maussan earlier this year, earlier this month. And they are, they look pretty much exactly like the last round of mummies that he tried to release, except they're sitting almost in a lotus position now. And they are pretty much exactly the same. They are not real mummies. They are once again just a conglomeration of bones and other pieces of material, and essentially like a great big paper mache projects.
Yeah, and also there are X-rays, and I've seen the X-rays, and if they are to be believed, it makes me think that they are they just took bodies and pieced them together, bodies of people that had
bodies of real people, which is what's really fucked up about this.
Yeah.
It's we just talked about the Snake Man of Robinson's Galleria, and we talked about, the I think taxidermied monkey snake. We don't know exactly what that was, but somehow if you're making a Fiji mermaid, if you're making like, the Iceman, the Bigfoot Iceman or something like that, I don't feel quite so bad about it, as you're actually taking body parts, probably from children, and you are creating mummified aliens with them, and then you're calling them real. That's pretty fucked up, dude.
It is. I kind of wish there weren't X-rays, because it goes from being like funny and like, oh, what a fun little art project you have, to you are taking people's bodies and mutating them.
And this guy is a well-known grifter, like very, very, very well-known. To recap, he did this as far back as 2007. We have a record of him doing this, trying to pass off a tufted marmoset as some kind of alien that got caught in a trap by some farmers. And then he did it again in 2015, claiming that he had photos from Roswell of alien bodies that turned out to be a mummified young boy that was on display at a museum in Mesa Verde.
Oh, right.
You remember this?
Yes.
Yeah. There were pictures, and there was a little placard that was in the pictures, and then someone was able to actually identify the words on the placard, and that it was like Mesa Verde. Yeah. And then Jaime Maussan did it again in 2017, showing up with another mummy that the National History Museum of Lima called, quote, a mix of looted body parts.
So we have evidence that he does this stuff.
Yes. And then he did it last year again. And he's doing it again here. And in the presentation that he gave announcing Sebastian and Santiago to the world, people were quick to point out that there was another sort of deformed skull that was part of his presentation that it seems like he intends to release in April as well. So he's probably going to do it again.
And isn't the Peruvian government like trying to go after him or
I had heard
investigate?
I had heard that. I don't know where that's at.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's body theft. right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the legality surrounding that.
Yeah, especially because I correct me if I'm wrong, but these are supposed to be ancient too, like old.
They might be. Yeah.
They could be very old. Yeah. So there's
if they're truly mummified bodies, then they would be old, and that would put them under one of those provisions of like archaeology of sorts, right? So yeah, they keep just releasing these things. They keep touting that they're making the data available, but it's always only their findings. It's not like the bodies to actually have scientists examine. I don't want to look at your data because you could have made up any bullshit for your data. I want to actually look at the body myself, and I want scientists, biologists who know what they're doing to come in and analyze that body, not your reporting on that body.
Right, and that's what the problem was the first time, and it seems to continue
and has
to
been
be
the
whole
problem. Time. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's a big red flag if they won't let you look at this stuff. And
I really wish someone would just go to Peru and definitively say they're fake to shut this guy up for a while.
I think people aren't.
But like a real scientist go to Peru and just be like, no, this is fake. Like just give us access to those bodies. But he won't. He won't because he doesn't want that.
Yeah.
Because he knows that that's what's going to happen.
This is one of those examples of if it seems too good to be true, it probably is.
Right. Yeah.
This guy, of all the people in the world that are bestowing upon humanity alien bodies. It's the grifter.
And that's one of the things. Like, you can't divorce his history from what he's found right now, and the reporting that's going on right now. Like, you have to look at that whole picture. He's been doing this for well over a decade. He's been grifting like this. Come on.
Yeah, it brings me back once again to the Aztec series that we did, and to me, looking back, hindsight, I'm like, obviously, Silas Newton pulled the wool over all these people's eyes.
Right. Yeah.
And many did not buy it, but he did. And this just sort of is a running theme across our history of just like all these different people that come up and just grift, and we really need to build strong, skeptical. Skeptical might not be the right word, but we need to be able to.
It's not skepticism. Skepticism, I think, is even the wrong way to phrase it. It's just critical thinking.
Yeah.
It's just critical thinking. Look at who he is. Look at his history. Actually do research into his history, and you'll find these things, and build your conclusions off of that.
It's also a bit of an Occam's razor exercise.
Sure.
Like, what's most likely here?
Right.
You know, that a man with history of grifting put together some bodies to display and make some money out of, or this same man happened to be the one to find aliens.
Right.
And also you have to buy that alien bodies are on this planet and are real, which is a big jump too.
Yes, and I don't think he's ever talked about how he... Not how he got the bodies, but like where they came from. Because presumably if you have bodies, you also have craft and you have tech. And I've never seen that. I've only ever seen bodies come out of him.
Interesting. That's a good point. I guess, yeah, where's the tech?
Yeah.
Huh.
Unless they were dropped off, they took their alien Uber to Earth.
Yeah.
And,
That's probably what happened.
It was surge pricing, and they didn't want to pay surge pricing to get back to the home planet. Now they're stuck here.
They're stuck. Well, Peru is beautiful.
I mean, it's not a terrible place. Like, if you're going to be stuck somewhere, well, why not, right?
Yeah, there could be worse places.
Yeah, sure.
So, yeah, dude. Okay, well, so that's the news about that, and we're going to keep an eye on it because there could be something in April.
It seems like he might be releasing something else in April.
How exciting. Can't wait.
Endless. And he's probably over the moon about all this DOD stuff that's coming out, because anything that keeps that visible is good for him.
Yeah.
Also, it's worth pointing out that he's associated with Gaia in some way too. The
really
kooky ass website that has all the bullshit on it. Yeah.
Oh, really? Huh. Well, that's not good for Gaia. I'm just gonna be bold and say that is not good.
Well, Gaia's not. Gaia is not a bastion of scientific knowledge anyway. Yeah, his when he released the mummies that he found in 2017, that was in association with Gaia.
Okay.
And Gaia, Snopes reports that Gaia has, quote, a long history of providing a platform for spurious pseudoscience, conspiracy theories, and paranormal claims. You can join Gaia's website for $100 per year to get unlimited access to their reporting on remote viewing, contacts with angels, alien abductions, crop circles, and the like.
Wow, for only $100?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And the whole thing looks like your crazy aunt's Facebook feed. Not your aunt.
Right.
But like that's what it is. It's all crazy. There's a whole bunch of Uri Geller.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's like not... And personally, as a magician, Uri Geller is like one of the worst possible things to come out of the 1960s esotericism. Like
Yeah.
this guy, because this guy was on stage doing essentially magic tricks. Like that's really what he was doing. He was doing magic tricks on stage and claiming that it was real.
Yeah.
And fuck him.
Yeah, that's like, no, you don't do that.
Yeah. You can be a magician and you can do magic tricks and all of that, and it's fine, and you can claim that you're mystical and whatever, but it's always with the guise of like, this is a show. Everybody knows that it's not real.
Yeah.
Once you start claiming that you're some type of fucking mystic and stuff, magicians, myself included, we're going to come after you, and we're going to come after you hard.
Right.
We do not like that. So, yeah, Uri Geller, go fuck yourself.
Well, yeah, you're illusionists.
You're
creating an illusion.
Well, and also because, look, not to get up on a soapbox here, but it's an art, right? Right? Doing magic, the illusions like that is art. And if you are claiming that it's real and that you have some type of mystical power and stuff like that, then it's not art anymore. It's some magic, for lack of a better word. But the people who are doing these sleight of hand illusions, they are artists. Appreciate their art, dude.
Yeah, look at all the hard work that they had to put in.
Like, you're talking about decades of practice.
Yeah, it's skill. It's just pure skill, and it does seem like magic, but that's why it's called magic.
Yeah.
Who is it? The guy Drummond is.
Oh yeah, Drummond Money Coates. Yeah.
Drummond Money Coates.
Yeah, DMC.
DMC.
Yeah.
Oh man, if you guys want to see a good magician, a good like sleight of hand guy.
Oh yeah. Props to DMC.
Yeah,
Drummond Money Coates. He's outstanding.
He's great. He's well known too. He doesn't need our,
Yeah, seriously.
but advertising.
But he was one of the. We're going way off topic here.
Yeah.
But he's one of those magicians where I saw him do a sleight of hand, and there was a moment where I was like, I don't know how he did that. And most of the time I'm like, okay, like I know pretty much how you do it, even if I don't know exactly how you're doing it. Mm-hmm. But there was one that I was like, oh my God, you are that good. Mm-hmm. You are so good that I missed it entirely.
I think
amazing.
Yeah, no, he's amazing. It's interesting to me when we talk about grifters and we talk about people like Uri Geller. And it's like, you are so obviously lying. And there are so many people that can come forward and say, I know exactly how you bent that spoon. Mm-hmm. Like that is an old trick that literally thousands of people know how to do.
Yes.
And you're saying that you just magically did it because you're magic, not an illusionist.
Right.
And you have people like Jaime Maussan who everybody kind of knows what's happening there. I mean, you can just look at the fact that he won't let you look at the goods and examine the goods. That's a big red flag. Mm-hmm. There's just and his history, and there's just so many people out there like these guys, and yet they boldly go forth. And for that,
not a care in the world.
I applaud the boldness, and I wish I had an ounce of it. They're really
there is something to that you're like, wow, the ball's on you
Yes.
for just walking out there and being like, I know that you all know that this is bullshit. I know that you know exactly how I do this, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
Yep.
And I'm gonna claim that I'm magical.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because there are enough people out there who will believe him despite the evidence, the counter evidence. And so I guess that's what you kind of hope that you can get enough people that will just sort of blindly follow you.
And you know what? You might.
Clearly,
You might.
it happens.
In fact, there were a whole bunch of people. Do you want to talk more about this?
We can do whatever you
ready
want.
to segue on?
We can segue.
There were a whole bunch of people that flocked to a field in France, in Limoges. Did I pronounce that right?
I don't think so. Okay.
How do you pronounce it?
I don't speak French.
All right, we're going to look it up.
I think it's Limoges.
Limoges?
I don't know. Look it up. Let's find out. Let's see who's more right here.
Pronounce.
Limoges.
What? Is that really how you say that?
That's what it's city in France right here, Limoges.
Limoges? Oh, I guess if you say it in a French way.
Limoges.
Limoges.
Like fromage.
Fine.
So not Limoges.
Or Limoges,
which is
like
what
I said.
Limoges. Okay, so there was a UFO conference in a field in
some
Limoges.
town that we can't pronounce.
3-day conference, right? 3-day conference. You had to pay $160 for a ticket.
Okay, reasonable.
And the media was not allowed. Did you know that?
I did know that.
Yeah. So it's kind of wild because I was trying to find out about the group that organized this thing, and it's hard to find anything on them. They're Alliances Celestials, which I guess also you would say Alliances Celestiales. Was that a good French accent?
No, I mean I honestly I give it a 2 out of 10.
Okay, I'll take that.
Good effort.
I'll take that.
Good effort. Not that I know how to speak French, but you know.
Their director, I know that their director is Jean-Michel Raux, Raaux.
Jean Rao.
Jean Rao.
You were right.
Rao.
Didn't you say
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, Rao.
And I was wrong.
Yeah.
Why? Don't look at me. I
Well,
don't know how to
it's all
pronounce.
right. Okay.
You're so sweet to ask me, and I have no freaking idea.
So their director is, and it wouldn't be Jean though, right? It would be Jean.
I think it'd be Jean.
Yeah. Their director is Jean-Michel Raux. And I looked for stuff. I looked for things on him. The only person that I found related to him was there's somebody, a Jean-Michel Raux, who is a World Rally Championship driver. But I don't think it's him. I think that's just somebody with his same name.
Probably.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's the same person. Look, so the thing is, if you're paying that much, and they're not letting people in, right? There's just something very, very suspect about that from the beginning. You know?
What do you think happened there?
I think they made a lot of money there. That's what I think.
But what did they do? Like the people go and stand around in a field?
So some people did get in and released some video content.
Good.
The claim seems to be that aliens have arrived to Earth, and they tried to talk to humans, but we are afraid of the aliens, and we're doing a very bad job communicating with them.
I don't know. I know a lot of people that are not afraid of aliens. I really want to talk to them.
Well, yeah, I mean, that
anyway.
makes me wonder too, right?
Yeah.
But so the Alliances Celestials group is going to help us, the, scared human, get ready for contact with the aliens. And I don't know about you, but this 100% sounds like a cult. And I really can't imagine it being anything else. So you're paying an entry fee to get in here to have someone who has had contact with another being get you ready to go meet that being. Like, that sounds like you're going to take some tea and die.
Yeah, it sounds like a Heaven's Gate situation.
Yeah, it does. Or, I mean, even like Love Has Won. We talked about Love Has Won just the other day.
Yeah, dude.
You know,
Yeah.
where you were going to go up in the clouds with Robin Williams. Like, it's
Right.
kind of that. The whole thing is very, very culty. And then keeping the media out, like not letting them understand. Because here's the thing. If that's really true, and you wanted humans to get ready for contact with aliens, and the problem was that humans were not ready, and they were afraid, or they were violent toward the aliens, wouldn't you want the media to know how to communicate with the aliens? Because that's the best way to disseminate the information.
That's a great question. That's,
Yeah. No, none of this. This is all bullshit. You just wanted to make $160 off people. And I guess they did. Like, people went there.
They sure did. And I think that town is not too happy about it, because I remember reading about it and the people of the town being like, we don't want to be known as the alien hub. We want to be like...
Oh, yeah.
We want people to... They almost want like another event to happen that's like scientific so that they can even it out. Like they
Yes.
want... They don't want to be known for this stuff.
Well, I have a quote. Give me one sec. Yeah, I have a quote from them. Terry Miguel, who helps run things there, he told a local paper, "I was flabbergasted that this event was taking place." And and then he wrote on Twitter or X, "I do not want Limoges to be the laughingstock of the world. We need science and reason, not conspiracy theories."
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And you know, nobody's laughing at Limoges. It's like it's not
the
fault.
town.
It's not,
no, it's not the town. It's just that apparently like a cult decided to host something there.
Yeah. And it is. It's got to be a freaking cult.
Yeah.
Like, it's got to be a burgeoning cult. I don't know. I'm curious to keep an eye on it for sure.
Yeah.
That's...
There's a politician, Eric Zemmour, also said, "We cannot stand there with our arms crossed in the face of possible charlatans who will come and talk to us about theories from another time. When a society is dysfunctional, it takes refuge in values like these. But we must strive to demonstrate the truth from the false by relying on science."
Wow. I
Power
like this
to you,
man.
dude. Yeah.
He's a politician?
Yeah.
We need more like him.
Knowing
knowing nothing more. I know.
From one quote, I'm like, this guy's great. He should be president.
He's got my vote. Yeah. That's how desperate we are these days. Like,
Really?
oh, you
Yeah.
believe the earth is round? Oh my God, where can I cast my ballot?
It's a sad state, right?
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. It's very ironic that we have more information at our hands than ever, and we are lost.
Well, the problem is we don't know what to trust. And this
Yes.
gets back to everything that we've been talking about. Mm-hmm. Can you trust the Department of Defense to audit itself? Mm-hmm. You know, who else are you going to trust? Can you trust Jaime Maussan? No, not at all.
Don't think so.
No, can you trust this weird cult thing that wants to take your money? No, you really shouldn't. By the way, this cult, I'm just gonna start calling it a cult. I'm just calling it a cult. So, the planet that the aliens allegedly came from is Niam, 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 maybe, I don't know, however you pronounce it, but Niam was actually the name of a nanomorph from the TV show Stargate Atlantis.
Ooh.
And he went around injecting people with nanites, whatever the fuck that means. But, like, that is probably at least as credible as anything that they were talking about in Limoges. Mm-hmm. Like, come on.
Yeah. Man, I wish I could have gone.
I know, I kind of do. There's no way I'm paying that much money for it.
Yeah,
though.
that's the problem. I'm not giving them my freaking money.
No, absolutely not.
We've already talked about them too much.
Yeah, we probably have. Well, it's hard to find anything on them. So, like, good luck if you are able to come up with like a website or a Facebook group or something for Alliance Celestial. Send it our way, because I'd like to know more about them.
There's like nothing that you can find.
I couldn't. Yeah.
Yeah. If any of our listeners know anything, let us know.
I suspect that they are going to crop up again, because these things, this doesn't just happen once. You know?
Or I guess it could have been like some rich kid's prank and like wanted to like make a ton of money and bounce.
I mean, maybe, yeah. I mean, somebody made a ton of money, for sure.
Like maybe we'll never
Yeah.
see this person again.
That's also
This
possible.
could have been just a giant grift.
Oh, you mean like, well, I don't know if the Wonka thing was a grift.
I don't know
But-
either. Oh, it reminds me. I have so much like this could have been a giant grift, but if it was an honest attempt, but done through laziness.
The alien thing or the
No,
Wonka
no, the
thing?
Wonka thing.
Oh, yeah.
I have this like deep like sympathy, I guess, with the Wonka event that went so poorly. For those of you who do not know about the Wonka event, summarize it, please. I can't.
Oh,
summarize things.
so there was an event that sort of purported itself to be in association with the recently released Timothée Chalamet Wonka movie, but it was not, and it was a really, really just cheap, quickly thrown together enterprise that where the marketing did not meet the event at all.
Yeah.
And people were calling it like a fire fest or something like that.
Oh yeah, it was like that.
yeah.
That makes me think of that.
Yeah.
But when I was a kid, I wanted to be an amusement park owner. I wanted to like run an amusement park.
Okay.
And so I created one in my yard.
Okay.
I had a bucket where you could throw coins in from a distance.
Okay.
And get a prize.
Yeah.
I had other things. I had like you had to like run between cones and get
Okay.
a prize.
Yeah.
And then I think there were other little things like that. There was like a hula hoop people could use. And, you could just drive in. And I had this sign on my mailbox, kid written sign that said like, $1, amusement park, $1 admission.
Yeah.
And like I had nobody show up.
I'm sure.
And like one car drove by my house every day.
yeah, of course.
I mean, that's
Totally, yeah.
that's how remote my... But I did have one person show up in a van. And I think that my mom called them and said, can you
Aw.
please visit? Because I know.
That's cute.
I know, it was really cute. I was really sad that nobody was showing up to my amusement park. And a little kid came out of the van and did some of the stuff. And I was like so happy. And I got $1. And it was like, it was amazing.
You didn't know the kid?
No, I didn't know the kid. I didn't know the woman who drove the van. But I think my mom knew them.
Okay, yeah.
I have to ask her about this.
You should.
Actually.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
When you said that a van drove up, I thought
Yeah.
that the story was going to go very differently.
No, it did. It was very good. It was very nice. So anyway, I feel for these people because as a failed amusement park owner myself, I'm not good at putting together events. So I feel for them.
I made a miniature golf course in my home at one point.
Aw.
In the backyard. I dug a bunch of holes to make a miniature golf course. Then I think my parents got mad at me for that.
I didn't know you did that.
Yeah.
That's so cute. You don't even like golf. You don't even know, like you just
I like
decided...
miniature golf.
Oh, you do like miniature golf, though. Yeah, you do. We gotta do that sometime.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We're completely gone now.
Yeah, we're like, where are we? This is just a conversation now. So sorry. Okay. So anyway, that happened.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on the burgeoning cult. But yeah, let us know if anybody has any thoughts on all this stuff and if they know more about any of this stuff, like the Peruvian mummies, or like, maybe you're listening from that area and you know some stuff. You're a historian, you're an archaeologist. What's our freaking email address?
slaymonsterspodcast@gmail.com.
There you go.
Yeah, if you spot anything in the coming weeks, send it our way.
Yeah,
Love to check it out, and might feature it on the next Fortean Roundup.
that's right. Okay, so right now we are on the...
Well, right now we are between series,
right.
and we will be picking up shortly after you hear this episode with a brand new series. It's going to be pretty cool. Going to be pretty spooky.
It is
awesome.
really spooky.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep. And then, we're just keep moving along.
Keep moving along, man. We're not going anywhere.
Yep, you betcha.
Can't get rid of us. Okay.
I think we're good. Yeah,
All right,
cool.
All right. So until next time, thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah, thank you so much for listening. Thank you to all of the support that you give us.
Yeah, thanks so much.
You guys are awesome.
It means a ton.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it helps.
means a lot.
Helps a lot, so thank you.
Yep. All right, everybody. Be safe out there.
Bye.
thanks for listening to Slaying Monsters, the Paranormal History Podcast. If you like the podcast, there's a couple ways to show your support. You can tell your friends, you can leave us a rating and review on your podcast platform, or you can head over to slayingmonsterspodcast.com and click on the Support Us button to leave a donation. For questions, suggestions, and other feedback, reach out to us, slayingmonsterspodcast@gmail.com, and stay up to date by following us on Instagram @slayingmonsterspodcast. Your support helps us grow, and we are truly grateful to have our listeners and community.